Hello and welcome back to the Scenario 7 podcast. My name is Sam, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely co-hosts. It's Josh Bacon and Joe Roberts. How are you two doing?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Doing very well, thank you, Sam.
Good, that's good to hear. And we're finally back with a preview. After a few reviews on the bounce without any previews, we are back to a first preview with the Monaco Grand Prix. The first Grand Prix here since 2019. We've missed this iconic track. And I guess let's start off by asking you guys, what do you think of the track? What are your thoughts on Monaco as a track?
I think this track is probably the for me the one like glamorous track on the calendar, and it's probably not suited for F1 anymore. But for me, it always should be on the calendar just because it's the historic significance of it for F1. And yeah, it's fast. It's the high. It can be very high drama, and it can be boring races because again hard to overtake. But it's Monaco.
Yeah, I agree with Joe. It's historic and it's iconic, and the cars are being pushed to the limit around this track. They're like within millimeters to each wall of every turn, and it seems like they're going faster than they would usually, even though they're not. And then I do also agree with Joe that now that the cars are wider, it's harder to overtake than back in the 90s or earlier than that. The cars weren't as wide, so there was still more chances. But yeah, it's just a historic track. You can't take it away from the calendar, and it's just good to be back after a year's break.
Yeah, no, it is certainly good to be back. I mean, as you guys said, I don't think the F1 calendar would be the same without it, despite how sometimes the race is boring due to the lack of overtaking. There can be some great moments, and there've been a lot of iconic moments have happened here with low tyre wear. So one-stop strategies. It's all about getting that pit stop right. The strategy, like Mercedes did in Spain. If you've got, it's all about a strategy, not necessarily about the driver's performance. Though that definitely is to come into it, as you literally have to be 100% focused, or you're in the water. Yeah, it's really important to be focused, and it's really all about the tactics from each team. Talking about iconic moments, let's move on to fond memories. So, guys, what are your fond memories from this track? I mean, they've been racing here for so long. It must be quite easy to come up with some.
Yeah, it was a struggle. I was debating between a few. Obviously, the one that you'll talk about later was one of the top three I would choose from. But I decided to go with the Monaco 2008 Grand Prix, where Hamilton won in the wet. So I've got notes on it because it was a crazy race. So it was extremely wet, and he popped his right rear tire at the start of the race. So he had to go around the whole track with three tires, and somehow managing to do it. And during that pit stop, his McLaren strategy were debating whether to put him back on full wets or on intermediates, and they risked it and put on intermediates. And luckily for them, it paid off as the track was drying off and there was a dry line around the track, which meant he was the fastest car on the track for quite a while. And after coming out in fifth from that pit stop, he then led the race on lap 33. And from then on, he just pulled a 40-second gap to the cars behind him, which meant he had enough time to pit again and still come out in the lead. Not to say it wasn't a dramatic race, because he then had a safety car to deal with and keep the races behind him, which he did. But yeah, just for the strategy call and for it being dramatic, because it's wet and Monaco, I thought 2008 was my most favourite race.
Yeah, my one was 2009, but something about 2008 that I remember. I remember watching this race ages ago. Made me feel old. But yeah, I remember watching this race, and I think it was under the safety car. Raikkonen hit the back of Fisichella. I think it was the first year of Force India. I think it was. I remember Raikkonen hitting the back of Fisichella, and yeah, and then that basically ruined the first points for Force India, and I think took another like 5 years to get there. But 2009 is the one for me, just due to the fact of my favorite driver and Jenson Button winning that race, and at the end, the show of the emotions of winning it, I think for me, topped it, and also had pressure from Barrichello behind as well, his teammate.
Yeah, my favourite race here it's a recent one, 2018, where Daniel Ricciardo won for Red Bull, and the iconic picture. It was just a really impressive race for him. I mean, he overcame a power problem in the first few laps, and this was 2 years after a botched pit stop cost him his first win at Monaco, and he managed to, despite having this power problem, he managed to still bring the car home in first. And it was a really impressive Ricciardo performance, especially at Red Bull when he was going through some troubled times. There was a period at Red Bull where he was really struggling and would leave soon after. And yeah, that iconic swan dive into the pool there is just one of the most iconic photos in Formula One. And that race still remains as Ricciardo's most recent Formula One win. So that's my fond memory, just because who doesn't love Danny Ricciardo? And it's such an iconic moment. The race wasn't so iconic as it was pretty boring, but the win and the driver just became really iconic in Monaco. Moving on to this weekend. What do you guys? List your 5 things that you expect to see happening this weekend.
Ferrari improvement. I think I can't see Sam because of my internet, but yeah, I think Ferrari gonna improve. I think just due to the fact they somehow Sainz and Leclerc got first and second. I don't know how, but I think there could be a surprise, maybe for the win, because Mercedes got 4th and 5th in that, and then obviously Red Bull I don't think were performing, but you don't really know how much race running or race running they did. So they could argue that I don't think Mercedes and Red Bull have shown their true power, let's say. So I say Ferrari probably a surprise. I think it's potential Russell getting points, potentially if there's a lot of safety car at Haas, but that's pushing it. Maybe Mazepin. And then I would actually say, Mazepin actually doesn't finish 50 seconds behind his teammate, because Schumacher looks like he's struggling so that's 3. What the other one? I'm gonna say also that Max Verstappen's gonna get pole as well, and the 5th one is there'll be an engine failure in qualifying.
Interesting. I've got 2 similar points to you, Joe. There, that I think Ferrari are going to be the best of the rest. I don't think they're going to get the win, like you said, but because I think Mercedes and Red Bull are still holding back some power and performance, so I still think they're going to be the top 2 teams. But I do think Ferrari are going to be the best of the rest. And then I also agreed with your Russell point that instead of him getting points, I think he might sneak into Q3. So he might qualify in the top 10. I'm not, obviously, if he does, he'll probably start 10th, but getting into Q3 for a Williams car is massive. And then also, because of the struggles I've seen with Schumacher during free practice, I have also gone with Mazepin to out-qualify him and possibly beat him in the race. That's obviously a big step up for Mazepin, but give him some confidence instead of putting him down every time on the podcast. And also, I've chosen Alpine. I think will struggle, even though people have said that the last sector in Spain is quite similar to Monaco, and they said they were doing quite well. They just don't look that confident or comfortable around Monaco yet, so I think they're going to struggle this weekend. And also, I think Vettel's experience around Monaco and being a driver for a while, I think he'll sneak into the points on Sunday and get I think first points for Aston Martin, possibly, or was it second points?
His first points for Aston Martin.
Yeah, his first points for Aston Martin. So yeah, that's my 5 things to happen.
Sure. So I'll start off at the top. I think that Max Verstappen's going to win. Recent years, Red Bull have done quite well around here, and it's going to be one in qualifying. If so, the Red Bull have I think the quicker car, and I think that Max will put it on pole, and will therefore see out the win. The second thing I'm going to think was going to happen, I was bigging him up with in his fond memory. I think that Ricciardo is going to put himself on the podium. The McLaren, I think you said Ferrari, you think will be the best of the rest. I think that McLaren will be the best of the rest, and I think they'll be quite close to Red Bull and Mercedes. Danny Ricciardo has won more points here than any other track. Monaco is his second home. This is where he loves coming and should have 2 wins here, but was unlucky, as I said, in 2006. So I think that he's going to get a podium, and McLaren will do very well.
Ricciardo also lives in Monaco as well, Sam.
Exactly. So that's what I was saying. It's the second home. I've got Leclerc to actually finish the race. Leclerc coming from Monaco, it's his home Grand Prix. He loves it, but unfortunately, every time he races, he seems to DNF. But I have faith in him that this year he's going to break that voodoo. There's not going to be any Hartley he can crash into. He's going to be fine. He will finish the race. I fully believe in him. Think I've got both AlphaTauris in the points, just because of the fact Red Bull have had success here and they have the same Honda power unit. So I think that AlphaTauri would be very strong, and I think that they will finish in front of, or they will get more points this weekend than Alpine and Aston Martin. And talk about the green Mercedes, Aston Martin, I think that their woe will continue. I honestly don't see them getting any points this weekend. They'll keep complaining about how them having low rake is an agenda against them. But yeah, Stroll getting 5 points this season and Vettel with none. It's not been a great start to the season, and I don't see, unless Stroll gets some, I don't see them getting any points here. Moving on to our last thing, predictions for the top 5. We've said 5 things we expect to see, but now we need predictions for the top 5. So who do you guys think's coming from 1st to 5th?
I'll go first, because I think mine's more basic compared to your 2 predictions. I don't agree with you that Verstappen is going to win. I think Hamilton is going to come out like he always does, put it on pole, and then go and win the race again. So I think he's going to come first, and I think Verstappen's going to be a close second. And then I think Charles Leclerc is going to be on the podium as well. He's going to be in my P3 spot. The Ferraris have some pace, and it's his home Grand Prix, and he just needs to finish a race. And the first time he finishes a race at Monaco, he's going to be on podium as well. So it's going to be a sweet race for him. I've got Perez in 4th, because he also looks quite quick at the moment. And then I've got, unfortunately, Bottas, who he's just not performing in the Mercedes car at the moment. So I'll put him in 5th.
Oh, I think for me, Josh is gonna. I don't know, and sorry, Sam's not going to be very happy. I think the engine blowout in qualifying is going to be Max Verstappen. So I think he's going to start at the back. So I don't think he's going to. So I think Lewis Hamilton will win the race. P2, I think obviously will be Bottas, and then I agree with Josh. Leclerc is going to get P3. And then I think it'll be then Ricciardo and then Sainz, P4 and 5.
Sure.
Oh, hang on. For those of you not watching on YouTube, Sam has been making some great faces there to Joe's prediction. So just to let you know, I don't think he agrees with those. But move on.
You're right, Josh. I've gone for, I'd say these are controversial. I've got Verstappen in 1st, as I mentioned in my 5 things to expect to see. Second, Hamilton, as he always ends up in the top 2 just because he's the GOAT. Third, I've got Ricciardo, as I mentioned. More points here than any other track. He needs to beat Norris one day, and Monaco's going to be the track he does it. In fourth, I've got Norris. So I've got the McLarens coming third and fourth. I was talking to someone who thinks that this could be the race that Lando Norris gets his first race win. And I agree that I think that the McLaren will be very strong around Monaco, but I think third and fourth is like the highest I'd put them. And then in fifth, I've got my boy, it's Checo Perez. It was between him and Bottas. And if Bottas doesn't qualify well, he will be in trouble because he can't overtake to save his life on easy tracks to overtake on. Never mind on Monaco, where you literally can't overtake. So if Perez, fifth is very close between Perez and Bottas, and it's whoever qualifies higher, I think, will take that place. But yeah, those are my predictions. Joe disagrees with me as much as I disagreed with his, and it's definitely what is for certain is it's going to be a very interesting race this weekend. It might not be the most exciting, but it will be heaven for those people who love their F1 strategy. But yeah, I think that wraps up this podcast, and all we have to say, previewing this exciting Grand Prix. The previews will be more consistent from now on. They will be every week. Joe's just finished a dissertation. Josh has done his. I've finished second year. We're pretty much all done for the summer, so they'll be coming more consistent. And yeah, you can expect some top tier content as always. But yeah, we'll be back on Monday for our review of the race. But yeah, as always, thank you for watching. Thank you, Josh and Joe, for joining me, and we will see you on Monday. Thank you for watching.